Estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Oh, yeah. Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome to another edition of Florida Talk Real Estate. And happy Father's Day. Weekend, I should say. Hope all the dads are enjoying themselves so far. Thanks for being with us out the gates. Toll free at 877-927-6969. I see you out there. Real Radio Land, 1017-921. Thank you very much. We do live stream on a Saturday. You're more than welcome to join us. The cameras are set up. Find us on Facebook. That's Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. On YouTube as well. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. That's home of a ton of informational chunk videos and our live stream for 2 hours of infotainment every Saturday. If you do dial that toll-free number, questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate, the first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, my brother from another mother. Hey, happy Father's Day, you mother father.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, Johnny. Good morning, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
What are you doing tomorrow? You got big plans?
Gonna go over and help Dad. He's got a couple things he needs done around the house, so we're gonna do a little combination of things.
I love it.
Yeah, gonna go see Pops.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see you, my friend. Thanks for always showing up on time and being so uniquely you.
Thank you, buddy.
You're phenomenal. I am your buddy, your pal, your old buddy, your pal, Johnny C. Let's get your starting lineup on a Saturday morning. Happy Father's Day weekend to Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. Ross, how are you?
I am doing well. Happy Father's Day weekend to you too, sir.
Thanks, buddy. You gonna enjoy yourself tomorrow with whatever you want it to be?
I'm gonna try.
Yes,
I can't guarantee it, but I'm gonna try.
Is that the plan?
Yeah.
So a plan that can't change is a bad plan, but that's the plan at least, huh?
I think that's a plan.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll find out a little later. It was awesome to shake hands this morning with our next guest, who I haven't said good morning to in a long, long time. Happy Father's Day weekend to the guy with the name on the sign. There's Paul Krasker from the law offices of Paulie Krasker. Good morning, sir. I need your microphone over here, though. Yeah. Welcome back to radio.
It's good to be back.
Counselor?
Counselor. Looking good, buddy.
That's what I said. I'm like, I'm not trying to get in your pants. You look fantastic.
Yeah. Dropped some weight, huh?
I think he's working out.
Yeah.
I think he works.
Yeah. Looks good.
What's the secret?
Nothing.
No secret.
Diet, exercise.
All right. Move more, eat less.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Hold on. Let me write that down. I never heard of that before.
The secret is your doctor tells you that your A1C has gone up
Okay.
quarterly for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Wait, at least you were consistent, though.
Yeah. It's not consistent.
I always say consistency and predictability will rarely let you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But good to know that you paid attention, and obviously whatever you're doing is working well.
Thank you.
Good to see you, and happy Father's Day weekend. And it's always great to say good morning to our fearless leader. 12 plus years now, I've told you, he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations, you find the Florida Home Pros team. Look at Jimmy D looking all good over here, too. Happy Father's Day weekend, my dude. There's Jim DePola.
Hey, happy Father's Day, everybody. I hope you enjoy Sunday. It's going to be awesome, hopefully, for everybody.
Just so you know, I've always liked the shirts. Greek wears them a lot, too, where you fold up the cuff.
And they
it's
have
a different
designs.
Print. Yeah. It's not me. I don't know if I can rock it. You rock it. I've always been like, that's cool. What do you think, Ross? That's cool, right?
It is cool. I can't wear it.
I can't either.
I can't do it.
No, it's not for everyone.
I can barely wear a collared shirt.
It's a little Guido-y. It's a little Guido-y, I'll admit. But, it's funny. Every time I wear these shirts, you know who comments on them all the time is Jarrett. Jarrett from
Perry?
CPA Group. Yeah,
Yes.
he always like, hey, is that Robert Graham?
Oh,
Like,
totally.
yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Graham I only know Robert Graham because I worked with Greek for so long.
Mhm.
And obviously that's his thing. That like flip your sleeve,
Yeah.
different print.
This
thing.
is Leonardo da Vinci.
Wow.
Yes, look how fancy, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I was pretty embarrassed. In 2022, I went out to a Super Bowl party for Renegade Sports and Entertainment, that sports agency that Jared and I co-own. And I needed to get a jacket out there, right? A cold jacket, because I didn't really have any cold clothes. So I went to Robert Graham to pick up a shirt or something, and I saw this leather jacket, and it fit so good.
Like a glove, they might say.
But on the back of it was like this big, gigantic, like skull figure.
Just scream.
And it
douchebag.
says knowledge, wisdom, truth. And
Yeah.
it was like really big, but the jacket fit so well and the leather was so cool. And I ended up paying for for it. It was so expensive too because it was a special edition.
You bought the douchebag jacket?
I did totally. And here's the funny part. I felt so bad when I bought it because like when I was wearing it, it felt so good. But then I knew what it looked like on the outside.
That's okay. Who cares, right?
I didn't care. It's
Nope.
like I like it. Well, when I went to the Super Bowl parties out there, with all, they had all these famous rappers and stuff, and a couple of our guys were there. Everybody was looking at that jacket like enviously.
Really?
Yeah, but they're all like 20-something-year-old kids,
Oh,
right?
that's
They're
all
all
right.
like,
Hey,
Super Bowl party,
Look at you trendy.
But anyway, I just thought that was really funny.
Oh.
Anyway,
Wear that in one day.
yeah, I'll try to wear it one
please.
day. Yeah, if it gets cold, I'll wear it.
Probably
one
like
day.
August.
yeah, exactly.
Should be a good time.
I think I've worn it twice. I think I wore it in Vegas in February this year, and then in 2022, and it's just sat in the thing ever since.
Sounds about right.
So, yep. Hey, we have a lot to talk about today. I'm so glad that we got Paul Krasker and Ross here. First of all, I know we're a couple weeks late, but we're going to talk about hurricane season because we've been waiting for Ross to come on.
I think I heard it start soon.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
That might happen. Yeah, I've heard that might happen. And what we want to talk about, Ross isn't the guy like to tell you how to necessarily secure your home because that isn't his job. His job is to make sure your house is insured properly. And if you have a claim on what to do, we're going to focus on that, Ross, if you don't mind. Certain tips like how do you document everything in your house, things like that. Okay.
Cool.
And then with Paul, man, Paul has helped out so many customers over the last several months. People with probate questions, estate questions, trust questions, litigation with people feuding over estates.
That sucks.
Student loan. We've had a lot of student loan requests lately, and we want to reintroduce people to student loan stuff again because the student loan modifications are huge right now. We know that people are starting to get tight on money.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways to unload some burden is to take a real hard look at that student loan debt if you can. So we're going to talk about all of that. But first, let's get into the shout outs because we have a lot going on right now. Just wanted to say congratulations to Anne Marie. We are closing on her house on Monday. Now listen to this. This is the fourth contract that we went into in the last 60 days. The first three fell apart and never happens. And I have never called a customer other than maybe short sales, Paul, when we were doing short sales back in the day when buyers would back out waiting for so long. I had to call this poor customer and tell her 3 times that her deal had fallen apart. But don't worry, I'll get you another buyer.
Wow.
And Anne-Marie, she was the sweetest lady in the whole world.
She must be clinging to the frayed ends of sanity right now.
Well, she actually was. When I called her yesterday to tell you we're definitely closing, Trident Talos closing the deal for us, one of the sponsors of the show. And I said, we're closing for sure on Monday. It's a done deal. And she was like so happy. But telling her 3 times, I'm sorry, the deal fell apart. That was rough. And the funny part is when the whole smoke cleared, she sold the house for the same price that we started with at the beginning. The price has never changed. It's just the buyer has changed.
Huh.
So she's still making the same amount of money and everything. It was just...
She just had to pack some patience.
Yeah, she had to put another 30, 45 days in there. But thank you, Anne-Marie, for trusting us on everything. She lives in New Hampshire. So
live free or die.
Yeah, so she really needed us down here to be her eyes and ears on the ground, make sure everything's okay. Make sure her unit was okay in the process, so everything's going good.
Awesome.
Thank you for trusting us.
How'd she find you, by the way?
She found us from her neighbor, Mark, which I really appreciate. Mark is an old customer of ours. We had sold a house for him and then moved him into that community.
Excellent.
And then when she needed to sell, Mark said, you really should give Jim a call. And I really appreciate that from Mark.
That's how it's done.
What
we
a
are
great neighbor.
Family.
Yeah, what a great neighbor Mark is. He noticed about 3 weeks ago that the AC unit drain on the outside of the house looked like it was clogged or something. So he went over there.
And sucked it out?
He sucked out the drain line in there. Then he went inside the house and then sucked the drain line on the inside of the house and everything. Then told me, hey, this happened. You might want to go over there and check it. It was running fine ever since after that. It was pretty
great
wild.
Neighbors, right? Otherwise, there's probably water stains on the ceiling or wherever.
It could have been a leak
mounted,
or something.
geez.
It could have been a leak or something.
Yeah.
So what a great neighbor. So really happy for that situation. Also wanted to say thanks to Mike and Diane. Diane just signed the listing agreement. Mike and Diane are going to be selling their mom's
I think-
property.
let me correct that for you. This is a little story about Jack.
Yeah,
and Diane.
Jack and Diane.
Right.
Right there you go. Yes. Yes. So,
Man, I'm getting old. That is such a, we'll call that a dated reference.
yeah, what year is that? Do you think 81, 82?
Oh, John Cougar Mellencamp,
Yeah.
Jack and Diane. I'll say,
And if Mike
I'll
was
say
here,
83.
he'd be looking at 83 might be good.
gonna
I
say
think that's
83.
about right.
I'm looking at Ross, the youngest one in the building, probably
I was
If
5.
it was,
for
I was
approval.
5. I don't know
oh, don't even talk to me, dude.
if I had my record
I was,
player.
I was
then.
8, so yeah, you are the baby in here.
1982.
82.
Nice.
Wow.
Thank
we
you,
were right
Paul.
there. We were right there.
Yeah.
So they and this is a very common situation that's happening with a lot of our customers right now. They have a mom that no longer needs to have the house because she really needs to be put into a care facility where she gets more intensive oversight. So they need to sell the house, and they're putting her in a facility that they found. And they have a lot of legal questions about this and a whole bunch of stuff. And we're going to get them over to Paul Krasker also.
Great.
And Mike and Diane have a niece who is a teacher, and she's saddled with student loan debt. And we've been trying to get her over to Paul. And I think finally they're going to cave in and go over to Paul, which I'm really happy about.
Good.
Michelle, do it. Just do it for yourself.
Yeah, get some answers, get some idea of what might be possible.
Also wanted to give a shout out to Kenny and Stephanie. They're going to be selling a home up in Port St. Lucie with us. Really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath home up there. Also, they are in the process of selling because they're moving. They're moving out of state to North Carolina, which is one of the things that we're going to be talking about later on the show.
Probably gonna be a lot of traffic going that way. So
It is going to be a lot of
Careful.
traffic. I
Yeah.
got some stuff to talk about that. So thank you for trusting us on selling the home. We're going to be putting the home on the market about a week. They're going to probably be using our cleaning people that I know. I have a really great cleaning company. I don't make any money off of these referrals, as Paul and Ross knows. I'm just place good people with good
Yeah,
customers.
that's right.
They're going to I've helped people with painting, electrical, deck issues, replacing kitchens and bathrooms.
Timothy knows a good masseuse.
There you go. Yeah.
I do need a little help on a deck.
There you go.
situation.
Yeah, do you?
especially the big one.
You want the big
the
deck.
big deck.
The
Yeah.
bigger the deck, the better.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we've been helping people with not just, hey, I want to buy a house, sell a house, or refi a house, or mortgage a house. You know, we're doing a whole bunch of more than that. So if you have questions, give us a call. And thank you, Kenny, for trusting us. Looking forward to getting your house on the market next week.
Awesome.
And then Bobby and Becky are also in the situation where one of their parents is going to be putting it to a living care facility. And now they need to sell a property, and then they're going to be buying a new one. I'm going to be meeting with them on Tuesday for the second time and going through that process with them. So thank everybody. And all these people are huge fans of the show, been listening to the show for 10 years or longer.
Oh, awesome.
Never met them before until they called up right now. So it's really nice to see these people giving us a call and seeing how we can help them. And the one thing that I can say with all the people that I dealt with, all three of these, Kenny, Mike and Diane, Bobby and Becky, met with them once or twice before we ever signed any kind of documents, had any kind of commitment, because we weren't high pressure. And that's one of the reasons. A couple of them were looking at other realtors, but they went with us because we weren't high pressure and we had a lot of resources and we answered a lot of questions.
Well, I think that's good to hear. They did their due diligence. You should interview a few folks because there's a bunch of things that come into play, from not only production to but personality quirks too. You don't want to have somebody that you just don't get along with trying to find your dream home or your next step. So no, that sounds great. And you can utilize this entire team as well. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is .com, your one-stop real estate shop. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Access to the entire team. And I mean pros in their field, and they do work together very well, seamlessly. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And see the hotline, 888-973-7828, right there at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So I wanted to start off. I don't want to get into too deep of this because I really don't know much about it, and I don't know how much Paul knows about it. But Paul, have you seen the changes that the state has made for homeowners associations and condo associations, giving the homeowners more rights? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're good. I'm just
Okay. I'm sorry. Homeowners giving them a little more rights, and also making sure that the board members have more responsibilities in education and legal legal responsibilities. He's frowning if you're not watching on Facebook or YouTube. So what's going on? You know, do you know a little bit about this?
Yeah, there's two separate issues. One is the condominiums, which were enacted in the previous legislative session that come into effect at the end of this year. That's for 3-story and higher condominiums. There's two major changes. The first is that any building over 30 years must have an engineering study done to identify the deficiencies.
Can I just real quick? That feels like vast majority of them, right?
Oh yeah,
Over 30. I mean, we're talking about like most of them, right?
I just had an engineering firm purchase a unit in my office condo because they came down here from up north to do these studies, and they say they have probably an 8-year run down here.
Whew.
Wow.
And it's impossible for all of the condos to hire the engineers to get this done on a timely basis.
Come on, UF, start pumping more engineers out, I guess, huh?
Right.
Let's go.
And so the sister bill to that, and this is all because of the Surfside collapse, the sister bill to that is a bill that said you now have to fully fund reserves in the future. So all these buildings that have been waiving the funding of reserves to allow elderly residents to not have to take their life savings and put it into the escrow accounts of the condominium are going to change. And you're going to have a lot of people who have to sell, just can't afford to pay in the kind of money that they're going to require in the future to have escrows fully funded so that when the roof needs to be replaced or when the balconies need to be redone, they have the money in the till.
They're supposed to keep about 10% in reserves, Paul. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
They are required to fully fund the cost of all improvements going forward. So that means they have to do a study now, and they have to say the roof is a 30-year-old roof. Its lifespan is 10 years longer. So between today and 10 years from now, when we have to fund $800,000, we're going to have to assess $80,000 a year for 10 years. So that money is in the till when the roof needs to be redone. So that's one aspect. And there are like 27 other aspects of these buildings: the elevators, the water lines,
Right.
the concrete restoration, the electrical, the pool deck, the parking grid, the everything. And so if you haven't been keeping up on everything and you've just been letting it slide for 20 years, you're going to have a $100,000 special assessment.
Even I mean, the list goes on and on. I would imagine because like even like seawalls and probably docks and stuff,
And
right?
Community facilities, just the community facilities.
Jeepers.
I mean, the reason why Champlain Towers went down is because the pool wasn't serviced right, because it was leaking.
Right.
And
does it make sense? And I know this may be a little off course of where we're going right here, but I've been thinking about this for a while. Does it make sense to offer some kind of like loan product for these, like a bundle loan product for these condominium associations to then fill those coffers?
So one of the ways they're going to have to address these issues is to get loans, because there are some buildings that just cannot fund enough money to come up with what they need to put it in the till.
Right.
So even if you're fully funding on an annual basis going forward, 10 years from now, you're still going to be significantly short.
Oh yeah. Every time they spend, they got that much more to make up. So
the condos are a big issue, and I think that's going to affect the market. And I've had a number of realtors tell me they didn't know anything about this. Wow. So when I have a client who's going to put in an offer, and I always ask them to send me the draft contract before they submit it, I start adding all these documents into the paragraph 20 in the standard contract to say, I want the last 6 months board minutes within 2 days of the effective date. So I want to see if they're talking about any big special assessments. I want a copy of the reserve study, if it's done. doesn't have to be done until the end of this year. And I want a copy of the engineering report that's supposed to be done if it's 30 years or more by the end of the year. And if it's already been done, but it's been 10 years since it had been done, so it's a 40-year-old building, and they did the study 10 years or more ago, then it needs to be redone. And that's a $200,000 study.
Yep.
And these engineers know that they're on the hook for hundreds of millions of dollars if they make a mistake. So they're really going at it and giving you all the reality of what's going on there.
Wow, they're liable financially, even if they're accurate. They can still be on the hook for that.
If they're not accurate,
How is
they
that,
could be on the hook.
How is that verifiable?
Well, it's going to be the big question. So
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're going in and actually drilling into the wall and putting in a scope and seeing if the supports are really supporting or not. And they're doing testing, advanced testing. Then that's why it's so expensive,
My
because
goodness.
they don't want somebody coming 8 years from then saying, you never told us there was a problem.
I recently had a customer, Paul, who was a senior, and she was selling her house, and then she was taking the equity from that to buy a home so that she had no mortgage. But because of what she could afford, we had to do a condo. So because she's on a fixed income and everything, we started looking, and she was in South County. We started looking at like the Kings Point community because it's very affordable usually. Now, the thing I found out was, Paul, was like she really zeroed in on one of these villas in one of the subdivisions over there. The villas, Kings Point's always had traditionally a little higher HOA than a lot of the other 55 and over communities because all the amenities they have bus service, they've got super duper events put on like concerts and things like that.
And then
for
the
the
boat
customers.
service in and out of there when it floods.
But what happened was I was checking and I started asking Paul because I was really afraid that the condo fees would go up and that she wouldn't be able to afford the place anymore. In Kings Point, in this one subdivision, the HOA was going up from $580 a month to $1,200 a month.
Oh.
The units are worth about 120 to 150. So you're paying 1% a month of the value of the home for the HOA or the condo fee. And I don't see how that's sustainable for any length of time. I really think that there's a bubble there too, Paul. I think we don't talk about bubbles much anymore or anything. And this bubble isn't going to be popping because of dirty mortgages or anything like that, or bank malfeasance, misfeasance, just giving out mortgages like candy. It's going to be because of these three triple whammy things: the insurance, the engineering reports, and the reserves. It's just like a really big tsunami that they're dealing with these older buildings.
It feels like a prime opportunity for money to move in and just be like, it's land grabs on some of these condos, just be like, well, you guys are in trouble. We'll offer you all this, and we'll take this plot of beach land here and do what we want with it. I mean, I don't know how it gets fixed otherwise.
Paul, what do you see with this? I mean, do you think that a lot of the communities are going to give up and then just have a developer come in and tear it down and start over? Do you think that's going to be very common, or do you think that's not going to, that there's going to be other ways for a lot of these communities to solve the problem?
I think there are going to be a lot of people who have to sell, no
Mhm.
question. And then if there are too many people in the community who have to sell, it's a question of whether a developer comes in and starts buying up bulk.
Mhm.
But a lot of these circumstances, Richard Schlesinger's done it 2 or 3 times in South County Road. But then you get these competing groups that each have 9 units in a building and keep trying to buy the next unit.
Mhm.
Are they eventually going to work together in a JV, or one's going to sell out to the other? I don't know, but it leaves the rest of the building in a tough situation.
Sure does.
What I'm wondering about is like the people that need to sell. I have a place in Boca where a woman came to me and she has over $10,000 of assessments, but there's 3 more assessments coming. And last June, her unit was worth between 385 and 415, and today it's worth like 230 to 250.
Sure.
Right? Because of all the assessments that are going on right now and future assessments. Who is going to buy the units that the sellers have to sell? Do you know what I mean, Paul? So if you're leaving because these assessments are too overwhelming or the fees are too overwhelming, who do you think is going to buy these units other than investors hoping that they're going to tear down the building?
No, there's others.
Okay.
It's people going for a cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody comes in there and says, okay, well, I'm basically buying this for 230, and I understand that there's $50,000 in special assessments that are coming up. Okay, that's $280,000. Now I'm going to get in there and fix it up over the first year, because you can't rent for the first year. But thereafter, I'm going to get $3,500 in rent, and that $3,500 is going to produce X dollars in return on my $280,000. And at the end of the day, if the values in the building go back up to 350, I make another big hit. But otherwise, I'm happy with my cash flow, and I'll get out at 250 when I have to sell.
So that was my theory to some people. I was saying that this might be a good time to really take a look and go for the jugular, if you will, of the people that really want to leave and try to get it at a low value. And then when the unit is, when I say the unit, when the building or the community is fixed up again and it's solid financially and complying with everything, the values have to go up at that point, because whoever does that first, it seems like those buildings will be more valuable, or those communities, than communities that haven't finished everything that they're supposed to do.
Like instantly, right? I mean, it's just.
I would assume
like a
it would
light
go up
switch.
pretty high, because I would be advertising as the listing agent. Our community has complied with everything. We're in full compliance.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are some buildings in Palm Beach that have done that have kept up over the years, that have done studies even before they were required, did everything that was required to do, have been funding at full
Sure.
amounts in the past, or at least are 50% done so that they can get a bank loan and don't need to do a special assessment and hurt people badly. And I think those prices are trading at a much higher number than the other buildings that didn't. So
Totally makes sense, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Hey,
From you're an investor, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna make this quick. You can
Sure.
answer as quickly or as
Sure.
detailed as there. Every investment you get into, right? You have your margins, you have your numbers. When it comes to, so let's say you find a good condo situation, and the coffers look good. They've kept up. It's not one that's been kicking the can down the road, where everybody who's lived there has been really content with their low fees, and they just don't want get it. Like when nobody wants to spend more, but this is a situation where they've been really responsible over the years, pretty well kept up. They've handled everything. They got all their engineering's all in place. Everything's good. You have to assume it's going to go up by a certain amount, right? I mean, you can't just assume like I'm going to be parked at this fee for my homeowners association, for my association. You have to assume it's going to go up. So how much do you assume as an investor, though? How much do you assume biting into your margin where you're currently at? Because Paul's perspective, your perspective of top rate rent return it makes total sense. It really does. But it also makes sense that you're gonna have that number going up. Your monthly obligations gonna go up, whether it be insurance, special assessments, or both in the future.
I think you have to assume 5% a year.
Okay, that's fair.
And
It's pretty aggressive too.
well, if you're sitting down talking to somebody at a pre purchase discussion, and they're on a fixed income, they're coming down from up north, and they have X dollars in the bank account,
Yeah.
and they say, I can afford this, you have to say back to them, I'm not asking you if you can afford that.
Right.
You're 65 years old. At 85, can you afford a 5% increase for 20 years?
So it really feels like, it sounds like, it looks like the condo market is going to shift from a retired type market for most on that fixed income to a more investor, almost lifestyle type market, because you're going to have to assume that fixed incomes are going to be rough in there moving forward.
A lot of people come down here and have a second home by the ocean. So I still think you're going to get a lot of 40, 50-year-olds,
That's what I think.
60-year-olds who come down, not fully retired,
So comfortable. They still make money. They
have a place here, and they can either decide when they sell their house up north that they've paid down over 20 years and they've got a boatload of cash to just come down and live off the cash and stay in the unit, or they can sell that and buy a house somewhere. That's the migration I see.
And that's kind of been that way too. So you're saying kind of continued,
Mm-hmm.
the majority continue to what we've seen over the years then.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great news if that's how it plays out.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the whole immigration thing going on right now relating to Florida. There's going to be some surprising facts that are backing up what I've been saying for a while. So let's go ahead and take the break. Of course, we're going to take your questions live on air. It is Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, it is.
So we are live right now. So we'd love to take your questions on air.
Yeah, absolutely. Toll free at 877-927-6969. If you want to jump into the conversation at hand, don't be shy. If you have a question that's a little off subject, that's okay. We'll absolutely address all that and more. 877-927-6969. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, believe me, I understand. You can go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. Talk to the entire team. You get them all. Pros, experts in their field at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's a 4-minute reset. We're back at it. That's right, in 4 minutes from now. Great to have you with us every Saturday, even Father's Day weekend, right here on Real Radio.
Got something to say?
I got something to say.
Text us at 47142. Start your message with Real Radio. Standard data and message rates apply, and don't text while driving. Real Radio weather.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you been injured in a motor vehicle accident? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the day. We are going to see some scattered showers build in the afternoon. It'll be in the later afternoon, pushing into dinner time. Before we get there, we'll get afternoon highs right around our averages in the mid and upper 80s. Moisture departs tomorrow, and we're going to see that humidity come down.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Order a Biggie Bag at Wendy's today. When you think of your go-to meal, what do you think of? Because if it's not the Wendy's Biggie Bag with your choice of JBC or crispy chicken sandwich plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink, Wendy's Biggie Bag hits every time. So stop by and grab your ride or die meal. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free, 877-927-6969. Pretty sure it's working. Jimothy, producer extraordinaire. Is it working?
It is working 100%. Give us a call.
Excellent. You're more than welcome to join us. We got 2 hours of infotainment, plenty of time for your phone calls. And of course, always remember, if you're not comfortable on the radio, seek out floridatalkrealestate.com. You got access to the entire team. Pros, like Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach. How you doing, brother?
I am doing well.
Oh, hold on. There you are.
Okay, here I am.
Nice.
Hey, just wanted to let everybody know if they're looking for some last-minute Father's Day gifts.
Yeah.
You can give us, or actually text us, and we're having a sale on homeowners insurance, auto insurance, umbrella insurance, jewelry insurance. If you need insurance for your father this weekend, give us a call.
Don't forget the flood for dad.
Flood.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We need
Always
get your dad some flood insurance. Thank you.
It's at the top of most dads' list, actually.
I think so.
Yeah.
I saw it on CNN's like top 60 gifts to get dad or something.
You know, as dads, we don't like to talk about things that we desire.
Yeah.
But it's up there on the list for most of us.
I know.
I hear there's a great bargain on earthquake insurance in Florida this year.
Coupon.
I think so. Yeah.
And 2 for 1.
You got it in the mail. You
Buy
have to
for your
use
neighbor
coupon.
as well.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll text you a code.
Excellent. That's, you know what? These are the little gems. This is why you tune in every Saturday. Thank you very much, Ross. You're a spectacular human being. It is phenomenal.
Is that really why?
Yeah, it is. It's phenomenal to say good morning for the first time in a long time to Mr. Paul Krasker, y'all. That's the name on the sign when you pull up to the offices of Paulie Krasker. There's Paul right there. Happy Father's Day weekend, my friend. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Pleasure to have you in studio.
Yep.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to say good morning to our fearless leader for 12 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. You find the Florida Home Pros team at Keller Williams Innovations. And Jimmy D, there's Jim DePola. How you be?
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Happy South Florida. We are going to get into hurricane season. And one of the things I did, because I've never done this in a very long time since I was a journalist, I actually looked back at last year's pre-hurricane season predictions to see how accurate it was.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about this year and then, see what's going on.
I don't think they're usually very accurate.
It feels weird. The mic feels weird now. Is it so dynamic that I really got to be right in my face? I feel like it's going away when I'm talking. Like maybe it's my headphones.
Maybe it's your headphones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's sounding okay.
Timothy's massaging in there, too.
I've been trying because, again, we got a new setup here audio-wise, so I'm trying to balance it out and not get that hissing sound from the air conditioner. And
yeah. So we're going to get insurance, but before we do that, I forgot to do a shout out to Paul. I really wanted to do this. He really helped out a family, and I wanted to say thank you so much. What happened was we had a house down in Plantation that was built in 1977 by an original owner. They put an addition on the house. We went into contract on the deal. I was a little nervous, Paul, when we went into contract because the realtor was an attorney. I'm not holding this against Paul, Realtor was an attorney and the buyer was an attorney. And I was like, uh-oh, probate case. They're going to see that, it's a probate issue. The house is 1977, everything. They're going to come in. They did an escalation clause. So they were like trying to immediately block out all the other offers because we're in a multiple offer situation. Went into the deal with the understanding that they can go ahead and do their inspection, but the inspection is for informational purposes only. And it's either you're going to take the house as it is or you're not. We're not going to negotiate anything. They said they understood. That's one of the reasons why the sellers weren't in contract with them other than price. Then we went into the inspection period. Then during the inspection period, they're like, Jim, we got a problem. The addition on the back of the house is not approved by the city. We need to get engineers out there. The city's saying we have to tear the unit down or prove that it was built to today's code, right? And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's on the property appraiser sketch. How could it get on the property appraiser's sketch? Exactly the way a house looks now is on that sketch, including a deck in the backyard, right? So they're saying, well, the city's saying that there's no permits and, we want a huge credit. So we backed out of that contract because we couldn't have a meeting of the minds. And then I called up Paul. And what I was concerned about, Paul, was even though that the family believed that there were permits pulled on that house, they didn't have any full proof of it. And now if the sellers went and sold the house to somebody else and they went in to pull, let's say, permits to redo the kitchen, would the city come back and go, oh, that house with the unpermitted addition that those buyers came to, and then red tag us or something? And Paul, what was your response to that? Like your advice to us about that? You remember?
Yeah, to do two things. Number one, to go to the property appraiser's office and get their records and figure out what year they switched the design and based on what information, because they usually have records of their own. And then to go to the municipality directly, try to pull whatever they had in their systems and convince the municipality to acknowledge in writing that it is a grandfathered improvement.
And so with that information, we put together a package and then we sent it to the building department, and the building department agreed basically on that one point that Paul made of the property appraiser. Because at first they were saying to me, we don't have any records of this. We know that you have some documents that were submitted to the city, but we don't have the end results. We don't have any of the documents. However, the point that you made in the package that the property appraiser has this information, we have to take that under consideration. So I do have a live question for you, Paul, on this. The city said that they're willing to give us a letter that we can use. I want to give a letter to the buyer. In this case, they didn't. I don't know the language that I want in that letter. How do I write that letter correctly to make sure that the city gives us the full clearance on that addition? Because what they wanted to say is that based on the property appraiser, the city is acknowledging that the addition exists or something like that. It was kind of like wishy-washy.
Yeah, what you want them to say is based on the property appraiser's records and our lack of records ourselves. And I think I remember you telling me that they had tried to go back to microfiche and the microfiche had crumbled over the years and they just have no records. So ideally, you'd like to have a letter that says, based on the property appraiser's records and the limited records that you showed us having submitted to the municipality, that we acknowledge that this was a permitted improvement at the time.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
and
perfect.
If you can't get that from them, then I'd want something that says we acknowledge this is grandfathered in its existing condition.
Yeah,
Okay.
so essentially the same thing, right?
Right.
I mean, you're basically saying it's good, it's legal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, excellent. That's the next step. We went under contract with that house. We went back we put the house on the market as soon as Paul said that we could do it and the city gave us permission. We put the house back on the market. 48 hours later, we were back in contract at the same price that we were in contract originally.
There you go.
With the original buyers, and everything's great. No harm, no foul. When we close and I get that letter from the city, I think I'm going to write a little letter to the buyer's attorney and just give him the document and say, ha ha.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't
do it.
Don't. Okay.
Everybody thinks they're going to
to.
get satisfaction from that. You won't. You'll get a letter back saying, I hope you disclosed everything to the buyer, and I hope you disclosed this and this and this, and we're going to call the buyer and tell them, yeah.
That's right. You take all the
Pound
advice
of
from
salt.
Mr. Krasker.
Yeah, pound of salt. Yeah.
Let's take a phone call, 877-927-6969. Who dialed in toll free today, Jimothy?
Our good friend, Captain Kelly. It's been a while since we've heard from him, and he has a question about condos. So, Captain Kelly, welcome to the show. How you doing, bub?
Hey, Captain, how are you?
Thank you, guys. It's listen to your show all the time. Call in very, very seldom.
We appreciate you being out there. Happy Father's Day weekend to you.
Thank you. My question is I've heard a rumor that at the condo association, they can no longer discriminate against me because I have a pickup truck. I don't have to park across the street at the shopping mall.
Well, I read some headlines this week that the
something
governor signed something about that this week.
I heard it was coming because we just had this case.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything? But I didn't read anything about it. Did you hear anything, Paul?
I know it was passed for homeowners associations. I don't know if it was passed for condominium associations. And remember, those are two very different situations under the law.
Yes. I heard we have a person that has a truck that's buying a unit with us that is a homeowners association, and they're not allowed to park the truck in their driveway. They have to park it outside the community. And I was thinking, who wants to do that? But the buyer decided to move forward because the HOA said that there's a law that's going to be going, or a regulation that's going to be going into effect that will allow him to park his car in the driveway later.
Yeah, I think it's July 1 it takes effect for homeowners associations. Again, I'm not sure if a similar one is passed for condos. And they change these laws all the time, but there were a series of laws that were passed over the last year and a half. I always think it's because DeSantis wanted to be a vice president. He was pitching sort of the Trumpian libertarian views of don't tell me what to do. And so that was one of them, is you can't discriminate against a work vehicle, including pickup trucks.
Yeah, law enforcement, first responder vehicles, I think I read too, stuff like that. Yeah. But the devil's in the details, right? The way I consumed it was as well, homeowners.
What I was surprised about, this HOA, and I'm talking about specifically, wouldn't let a regular Ford 150 in. And that's just like a regular pickup. It isn't like some big, gigantic F-350 or something.
Right.
And they wouldn't even let that truck in. And I was like, really? But if it was an SUV, which is the same size as that Ford 150, they would allow that in. If it was a 4Runner, that would be okay.
Yeah, but this was passed as part of a homeowner's Bill of Rights, where they have certain rights that people perceived had been trampled on by the board. And it's going to be next to impossible to get people to sit on boards these days. When you see the scrutiny and the level of education you now have to have and the liability that you have to have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't serve on a board unless there was a $5 million liability and director and officer indemnification by a well-funded insurance company.
Exactly.
So
Cap, I don't know if that's the exact answer you were looking for, but it sounds like we may be inching towards possibly where you're hoping.
Condo, maybe HOA, maybe July 1st.
Okay. Where can I find that information?
How would we find out if there were, because I'm curious too. I'll do the research. I have no problem. Do you know can you point me where I should go, Paul?
It'd be the Condominium Act, Chapter 718, and most of the big commando law firms put out an annual update of laws. I know I read about it on the homeowner side. I'm just not sure on the condo side. And if you want to send in an email to Jim and have him forward it to me, I can check and get back to Jim on it.
Yeah, Captain Kelly, leave Jimmy your information, and then we'll get back with you on this for sure, because I'm interested too. Because a lot of people are going to be interested.
Definitely. We'll share it on the radio as soon as we find out as well. But no, we'll put you on hold, brother. Get a little information. You'll get an email from Jim or from Paul or both.
So let's.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
brother.
Captain
Enjoy your
Ken.
weekend. Happy Father's Day weekend to you. Take care of the dads in your life,
you.
people. Take care of the dads in your life.
Hey, I wanted to go into the hurricane season, which started
Briefly,
Yep,
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com
Sorry
for
about
those
that.
that are like, oh, yes, I'd like to get in touch with the team. You get all the team. Pros, experts in their field, one spot. We're not going to call it the one-stop real estate shop. No, we are. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Access to the entire team. These are pros. Get them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And Captain Kelly joined us toll-free at 877-927-6969. If you'd like to be a part of the program, you got a question, comment, concern, don't be shy. Dive in. 877-927-6969.
And all the shout outs that we put out this week, Bobby and Becky, Mike and Diane, Kenny and Stephanie. I know I mentioned a couple other people. They all started either by filling out the contact information form on FloridaTalkRealEstate.com saying, hey, I want you to call me, or they call the 888 number where we have a live 24-hour operator service that will actually take take your information and we call you right back. And that's the way it starts. And that's how you get your answers at the Florida Talk Real Estate team. I wanted to go into the hurricane season. We're on June 1st. We started days late. We're 15 days in hurricane season. And believe it or not, it's been a long time since we haven't had a named storm.
I think they said this is the longest we've gone.
Yes.
Without it?
Yes, I think. Well, I think
this was a couple days ago, too.
I think the 17th is where the record will be. Maybe I'm wrong.
All right.
But we're almost there if we haven't already passed it.
I read we passed it already, but I didn't triple verify my article.
Well, I'll take rain over the winds all day long. So even though we had a really sloppy week, I'll take that all day long over a hurricane coming over here. So I feel like this week was okay. Even when I was driving with 20 feet visibility on the turnpike for 15 miles straight, it was pretty crazy.
Tell me your car didn't turn into a boat this week without telling me your car didn't turn into a boat this week.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I figured would be when we started talking about the hurricane season, I don't know what made me do this, but I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to 2023, see what the prognosticators, forecasters said was going to happen to 2023 and see if it really happened that way. So in 2023, they were predicting that we were going to have, hold on, I'm trying to find it. They were predicting that we were going to have 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes, right? And
that doesn't mean they all make landfall, right? That just means they reach those levels. I don't want anybody going like, well, it's never accurate. Doesn't mean landfall. It just means they reach that level.
It just means that they hit that level. Right. It doesn't matter where. They could be spinning out in the Atlantic forever, and that would count. That would count.
Yeah.
So, but 13, 6, and 3. So what we really had at the end of that season was we had 20 storms, not 13. We had 7 hurricanes, not 6. And 3 majors, which majors are category 3 or higher. And that's what they predicted. So they were pretty close.
Yeah,
they were pretty close. We had more storms, but the hurricanes, the major hurricanes,
nailed it.
They were pretty on tight.
Yep.
So now let's take a look at this year. So this year, what they're predicting is that there's going to be, I'm going to go on the low end because there's a little bit of a range for each category.
They did give themselves a little wiggle room this year.
And it's a lot too, because it's
why don't you go middle?
Yeah, find that
okay,
mid.
let's do the middle. That's good. Okay, so they're predicting 20 named storms. They're predicting 10 hurricanes, which is a lot compared to last year. And they're predicting 5 major hurricanes this year.
Huh.
Now, let me just tell you how off this is, because I'm a stats guy. I'm wonky about that. So they're saying for named storms, 17 to 25, right? So if you start off with
that's 50%.
That right, exactly. That's what I was about to say. They're about 50-50.
Yeah.
They put it so wide that there's like a 50-50 chance that they're going to be correct. Which I thought was pretty good.
50 storms.
Yeah, between 20 and 50 storms, right? So anyway, what they're expecting this year is a higher than normal hurricane season. That isn't saying that they're predicting it's going to hit anywhere.
Right.
Just that we're going to have a busy season.
I'll tell you, one of the takeaways I had from an article, because so many are just regurgitated the same information, right? It's so many. Just original articles are hard to find these days. One that really clung to about a month ago So this is a record number of prediction. If you go to the high end, it's their record prediction.
Yeah.
They said the last time they hit the record prediction, it was like our busiest hurricane season. So we hit another record prediction, which if you were going to base it on past performance, should be pretty active.
Do you remember what season that was?
I don't. I didn't
06,
retain
07?
that. I didn't retain it. I didn't retain it. But the last time they had a record prediction year, we had a very busy year.
Yeah, probably 04, 05. Or
03, 04.
Like with Charlie and Gene.
Charlie, Francis, Gene.
Okay, is that 3?
I think it was Charlie, Francis, Gene, and then the next year it was Wilma.
05. Okay, yeah. So 04, 05, 06, somewhere. In there.
I remember I was renovating my second rehab ever at that point. We had pulled out all the windows, right? And it was gutted down to the studs. So it was just a shell, right? And we had 2 of the hurricanes hit in my neighborhood. And Australian pine came and smashed into the house. It was gigantic Australian pine, smashed in the house and ripped off the electrical box on the outside of the house. And it was covered by the insurance. I couldn't believe it. And they came out to look and they saw it was a shell. And they gave us
still hooked you up
credit. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I love this insurance company at the time. It was my second flip. I didn't know what it was doing. I was so lucky. So this season is the reason why they're predicting the season is going to be busy is because of La Nina. We've been in an El Nino for quite a while, a couple of years actually. I think 2 seasons or something. We're in El Nino at least. El Nino, the waters stay a little cooler. And La Nina, the waters get a little hotter. And also the wind shear. When you have El Nino, it kind of has a top wind shear. So it kind of cuts out the hurricanes before they build up too big. But with La Nina, you don't have that wind shear. So it'll allow the hurricane to build up and keep growing and growing. So that's why they're thinking that it's going to be such a crazy season. Now, what I wanted to talk about today, Ross, isn't so much like about getting the water and having flashlights and batteries and candles and stuff like that and generators. I want to talk about because Paul and I went down to the Keys. Remember when we went down to the Keys, Paul? We went through all those people that had all those terrible things happen to them. I think it was Irma. I always get confused. Was it Irma?
I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah. And a lot of them, even though that they live in the Keys, weren't really prepared on what to do to file a claim and what to expect in the claim process. So you don't want to do that in the heat, no pun intended, in the heat of being stuck in the aftermath of a hurricane. So what are the best tips for people to make sure that they have all the information needed so when it comes time to call the insurance adjuster or insurance company, that they are prepared and ready to get the best results that they can get at that time?
I mean, you're going to want to have your policy documents,
Okay.
a copy of your policy. In that will be the phone number for the insurance company. Usually they put a claims number in there too, but when you call the main number, it's 1 for claims, it's a phone tree. It'll get you over to claims.
Probably some patience because you're probably not going to be the only one calling that number.
Yes. Probably pack some patience.
Yep.
And the insurance companies these days have that they are part of the legislation that they passed. It really tightened their response times for claims. But you're going to want to make sure that you can, I always tell everybody has a video camera in their pocket. Make a little video of in the interior of your house. Show what you got. That way, if for some reason, you do have a claim and that TV or couch that you claimed you had isn't in the house anymore or whatever, you've got proof that you did have it. But you're just going to want to, if you do have damage, you're going to want to try and mitigate any further damage, make some temporary repairs, but you're going to want to document your damage as well. That way, if you do make the repairs before the insurance company can get out there, at least you can say, hey, here's what was there, and here's some repairs that I made, so that it's all part of your claim. But you just, call the insurance company and keep records of all your communications with them, all your text, emails. That way you stay on top of it. And if for some reason they drop the ball or whatever, you can.
When you're shooting the video, right? When you're going through the property and shooting the video, what is the focus on? Is it like, is it just saying, got a couch here, a ottoman here, or this here and this there, or you just taking the video, you don't really have to say anything or point out anything. Just as long as you have it on video, you could say, hey, I did have a couch, I did have the ottoman, I did have the TV there. Or is it something that you're pointing out and talking about it? Like, this couch is a $5,000 couch. I'm just making it up or whatever.
I mean, I would narrate it. I mean, why not? I don't, it gets down to the nitty gritty and legal and courts, and, Paul could probably speak better to that, but, what they're going to ultimately come down to as proof of, did you have it? I don't know, but at least if you have that, I think that's going to keep you prepared.
One of the things that you can do in advance of hurricane season is review your policy with your agent. I don't know how many people turn back to agents and say, how do I save money? I just can't afford this policy. And one of the things that people do is eliminate their replacement value and go to, what's the
actual cash value depreciated?
ACV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't understand what that means. And all of a sudden, when your $12,000 refrigerator goes and it's 5 years old and you only get a check for $4,000, they get angry at their insurance agent. And you really have to understand the policy that you purchased.
Right.
So you want to take risks, you can take risks, but know what those risks are and don't be disappointed in anybody but yourself for making the decision.
And understand your deductible, your hurricane deductible.
That's another way people will try to save money, right?
Yeah, because in Florida, we have 2 deductibles. You have your hurricane deductible, and then you have what's called your all other perils deductible, which is your deductible for everything other than a hurricane. And typically the hurricane deductible is expressed as a percentage on the declarations page, and it says 2%. Doesn't seem like a big number. It's only 2%, right? And if I increase that to 5%, man, I can save $300 on my insurance. 2 to 5% doesn't seem like a big deal, but that 2% deductible is 2% of your dwelling coverage. So if you have a $500,000 dwelling coverage, your hurricane deductible is $10,000. And if you increase that to 5%, now your hurricane deductible is $25,000. And so a lot of people don't know that. They just see the 2% and 5%, and oh, that's not a big difference.
Okay, so because I'm an idiot, that means I'm paying up to $25,000 before the insurance pays.
That's right.
That's what
That's
means.
right. You're going to pay for your new roof,
right,
before they pay for anything else.
Right. That's pretty.
Yeah, okay. It's and I'm saving potentially a few $100 for that variance. Obviously, every situation is like a snowflake.
Everything's different,
right?
But typically, I haven't seen it where if you're not sitting on twice that money in your bank account, that it would be worth it.
So every situation is different, but these are conversations you should be having with your agent. And hopefully your agent is Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach, or speak with someone on his team. And not all Brightways are cut the same. Juno Beach matters the most.
Absolutely. Matthew asked us to go out for a consultation with his family recently. Big fan of the show. He knew his insurance premium was going up. He wasn't sure if he wanted to sell or just buy the insurance and stay in the house longer, because they're thinking about doing a transition anyway. So gave him all the information. They really appreciated of everything we gave him. We also gave him over to Ross. He sent a message back a couple of days later saying, thank you so much, Jim. We're going with Ross for the insurance.
Not surprised.
And we're going to stay in the house, but we're definitely selling
Sorry,
it in the
Jim.
year.
Sorry.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay. He'll be selling us. He'll be selling it sometime. It doesn't matter. What matters is what they need.
You're
not what
screwing
we need.
Jim.
Yeah.
Nice going.
Hey, Paul, I do have one more question on the insurance stuff for hurricanes. Since what we saw in Irma at the time, and back then, the reason why we went down there just to like fact find was because there was a thing called insurance churning back then.
There was a lot of people that needed a lot of help too. I mean,
Yeah, but the
guys threw on
reason,
the
a lot
capes.
of the reason why they needed a lot of help is the insurance churning.
Well, yes, sure.
The insurance company the hurricane policy would say, your house didn't blow away because of the hurricane. It was because of flooding.
Right.
And the flood company would say, no, it's because of the hurricane. And then nobody wanted to pay. And the people were sitting there with no money to make any kind of repairs or to move forward because of that. So, Paul, when we go through, if we go through another event here locally, what advice do you have as a lawyer that you saw down there that might be helpful for people up here not to go through what they went through down there, if you will? Is
Put
there
your house on
anything?
stilts before the storm comes.
I know it sounds trite, but hire competent counsel before you do anything. A lot of the people who filed separate claims and went through separate processes with the hurricane and the flood companies lost on both, and that seems impossible to me. Wow. And a lot of the good counsel that saved people's lives down there filed an objection to both, filed suit against both in the same case, brought both insurance companies to court and said, one of you two owes these people a lot of money. Now you work it out. And in doing so, it saved people.
How could a judge, and I just can't wrap my head around it. How could a judge determine that neither party would be?
That's not what happens. You get an administrative judge that handles the flood claim, and the flood underwriter turns around and said it was the hurricane, and the administrative judge says, no proof given that it wasn't.
I can see your side. Right. Okay.
Now they go to a separate administrative hearing for the hurricane, and the hurricane insurance company says it was flood. And here's the proof. Well, the homeowner didn't get the same level of proof that the hurricane insurance company had. So that hearing is already over. They can't go back to that hearing and say, oh, wait a second, we want to reopen this because we now have proof that the hurricane insurer hired this engineering expert and proved that the water came up 7 feet in that area, and that we bored into the structural components of the building, and we found that it collapsed because of these two pillars that were breached because they got flooded out. And that's how you lose.
Yeah. Wow. That is. So when you talk about competent counsel, like, you got to be able to see the pitfalls, what you're going to be dealing with on both sides, like well ahead, and be.
And if you have to go through the administrative procedure, because that's what Governor DeSantis signed into law, you have to have them within the same time period.
Right.
But one person was doing it 6 months before the other hearing. So the appellate period in the first hearing had already passed. So that you couldn't go back and appeal and say, oh, well, this hurricane insurer hired 3 engineers and they all said that it's the flood, and that time has passed.
Competence is the perfect word to use in that scenario, because that is just lack of understanding of, and even procedural understanding for your clients. That is
right. How would a layman know any of that?
They
right?
wouldn't. That's why you
would
hire
know
an attorney.
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
And you make sure that your attorney has the right engineers to be able to do the right studies, to have the right backup, to submit in evidence.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you just go in and say, well, it blew over. It's got to be your fault. You lose.
Man, that's rough.
So that's why I brought this up and asked Paul this question is, like, if you get in trouble with your insurance companies or you have a claim, it might be smart to first talk to an attorney first, if you can, if there's time, right? And
I know a guy.
And
I do too.
We know it's one phone call away, right?
We don't take those.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
We get it to somebody else. And the worst thing is, like, attorneys have advertising limitations based on the Florida bar. So before I send out an ad, I have to send it to the Florida Bar marketing department. I have to get it approved in writing so that it's compliant, so I don't get a bar complaint against me. And that'll take a long time. Public adjusters don't have any restrictions on them. So they all run down there, start signing people up, and 20 minutes after the storm comes through. And many of the times they're great people and get you great results. And many of the times they're not con artists, but they're just BSing people until they push the insurance company to the limit.
The amount of money those adjusters that come from out of state, when there's a big,
do they really? They come like the utility crews that come from out of state.
I have friends that do that during at times when we have this. They just become adjusters all of a sudden. It's like, hey, I'm going over to Louisiana for 3 months and I'm going to go hang out there. The amount of money that they make while they're doing that is like really good money.
Gosh, that feels like I think I would want some a little more understanding.
The money is so good.
How about this? How about the roofing companies that come down, sign contracts with you that say, don't worry about it. I'm going to hire a adjuster for you. I'm going to get the insurance company to pay for it. But sign this contract, and you sign the contract, and then they don't get the insurance company to pay for it. And at the end of the day, they say, give me money.
It's legal.
Yeah. And they file a notice of commencement against your property as quickly as possible. So now it's becoming a lien on your property. And if you can't get it done with them because they were charging you $90,000, but who cares? It's the insurance company's going to pay for it.
That's legal.
And then you find out you get it done for $45,000. So you go to cancel your contract and they say, no, we've got to sign contract. You have to wait 2 years while we battle it out with your insurance company. And then the worst is what Ross said before. You end up with a $25,000 first check that you write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and then you reach out to somebody to try to give advice. If it doesn't fit what you want it to be, you get that confirmation bias. I don't believe you're taking I'm going to go with this. This sounds great, and then you end up run everything. Those pros. I'm blown away.
I mean, that's the concept of the whole roof.com.
It is, right?
Another thing that happened with consumers, especially like in 05, right? After Wilma, 03 through 05, these roofers from out of state would just come in because they're making tons of money, right? And the roofers will come and they'll go, hey, I can put on your roof right now.
How are they licensed?
They just come in and they just put a roof on your house.
No, they get a qualifier. They go to a local roofing guy and they say, let me use your license and I'll give you 10% of my fees or whatever. I'll give you $1,000 a roof.
But Paul, here's the thing, a lot of them won't, because a lot of them, they just go ahead and put the roof on. You have no proof. I know in fact, like later they'll say, when did you put your roof on? It was 05, let's just say, right? Because of Wilma. But they had no permits. Nobody, it was just
I think that was big in like St. Lucie. Remember, I think St. Lucie in the Treasure Coast did 405, where they said, hey, you don't even have to worry about getting a permit. Just because it was so crazy.
Right. Except that's when the government said you don't need to have a permit. But if the government doesn't say you don't need to have a permit, you've just eliminated your ability to sell your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to bring up. So you have to be careful
about
of
last
that.
you got a letter saying if your grandfather did or it was perfect.
Right. So you have to have, if you're going to do a big repair like that, if you want the full value of that repair, like a roof replacement, you got to make sure you have your roof the right way, or you're going to be in trouble. These are all the little things that people.
Your check to the company wouldn't be proof. Is that proof? Proof that you paid them?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not whether it's built, because you can prove that you paid the money and that there's a new roof on there. You have evidence that it's a new roof, and they'll have the straps that were built in 2024, so you put it on. Sure. It's whether it was done to code or not, and there's nobody who can tell you that it was done to code.
Back in 05, what they used to use, the building departments in Palm Beach County were doing, I know because I had to put on 2 roofs at that time. The property, the roofers would come out, they do the subsheathing, they take pictures of the nails to show that the nails were spaced properly. Then they put down the felt, take another picture with the tape measure out to show everything, and then the final. And they would just take pictures of everything. And then that's what they'd submit for the permit afterwards. Was the building department couldn't go out to inspect all the properties at that time. So it was kind of almost like on an honor system, but at least you had something. That's what I did with our roofs, and we got permits, approved for that. But that's how we did it.
And we're not talking about the other big issue. Saleability. Who cares if you're going to live there for the rest of your life? Right? The other big issue is when Ross goes to get insurance, and he asks for a 4-point inspection, and they don't know anything. Some guy goes out there and says, I don't know how it was built. I don't have a permit. I can't pull it. I can't tell you whether it's triple strapped or double strapped. I can't check the layering. I can't check anything. You're going to now pay the highest rate possible because I can't get you the discount.
I was thinking the same thing. I think I should kind of lay it out. We're not dealing with insurance.
You lose either way. You lose on an annual basis the extra cost of insurance and saleability. Hurt yourself.
Yep. So just be careful. We haven't had any kind of hurricanes in this area in so long. People don't remember. So it's really important that you brush up on everything. Start, your local newspapers are a great resource about all the things you do for hurricane preparedness and all of that.
Let me give you some really bad news. The last time we had pretty good sturdy. I just put a fence up. Got all leaned over from the storm. I saw 3/4 of it all new within the last year. Not great sign for a hurricane.
Every time you put up a fence,
should I just take it down?
Late on it.
Anyone from the village listening right now in Royal Palm, you'll understand why my fence is down. I don't want any notices on my door. Okay.
Thanks, Cantor.
I'm doing it for all of us.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Right. You're welcome. I'm not overly superstitious, but I'm telling you, sometimes you're like,
but I'm still taking it down.
Yeah, it's still coming down today.
Successful people recognize patterns.
Thank you, Ross, for seeing my side.
So just be careful out there this year and be prepared because it's been so long. Everybody's a little rusty. I know I am. I'm being real. I haven't. We used to deal with them. It seemed like every couple of years we were dealing with them.
And here's what I promise. Economic times are tough for everybody. You want to talk about, and we get very complacent, right? So as the years go on and we don't have to deal with a lot of things, your preparation might get a little less. Well, with money being so tight, not a lot of people are throwing they don't have extra money. So they're not throwing money at their hurricane prep. So I have a very deep sinking feeling that we are underprepared as a community in South Florida for a storm. If we get one charting, those shelves are going to get wiped.
Oh yeah. Fast.
Quick.
Yeah.
Throw a couple of extra bucks, just a couple of extra bucks at some canned this, some peanut butter to that, a couple of things when you're at the store. Not saying 50, 100, 200 bucks. I'm not saying that. I know you can't squeeze that out. Don't put it on a credit card. Don't pay 27% for peanut butter. A couple of extra bucks. I'm telling you, those shelves are going to get wiped if we get one tracking. I'm just telling you from experience. And that panic sucks. I can't find. You remember this one? Can't get toilet paper. Remember that one?
Toilet paper.
It's not that long ago.
Bread.
Yeah. Slowly chip away. Just slowly. Couple bucks here, a couple bucks there.
I forgot about that whole toilet paper thing. That was so crazy.
Pepperidge Farms remembers. I remember too.
That was so funny.
And I'm not preaching to you, but I'm preaching to you. I care about you.
Just want to say one more thing about insurance. Just to wrap up this insurance stuff and hurricane. 8 Florida homeowners insurance companies have asked to lower their rate. There's 10 other companies that say they want to keep their rates flat. The 10 additional companies say they're not going to increase the rates at all this year. That's a positive sign, that things are starting to slow down and flatten out, which is what we've been waiting for and what they predicted. So far, so good. Maybe not fast enough for everybody, but at least it's flat.
We're right there at 18 months.
Yeah.
When that came out, we said it would take about 18 months to 2 years.
They also
right at 18.
They also did something in the paper I just read today that it made me feel good. I didn't read enough about it, but I'm like, good. Apparently, there was some regulation that if the insurance companies asked for less than a 15% increase in rates, they didn't have to have a hearing about it at all. So insurance companies
just asked for 14.
14.9.
Just slip in under it. Yeah.
So everybody was coming in 14.9. Well, they just changed the regulations that said we get to review anything regardless of the rate increase.
Perfect.
So they actually went back to one of the companies that was asking 14.7, and they held a hearing and then denied the increase or the full increase. And the insurance company was really bummed out because like, hey, we're under that 15% rule. But because, we're one of the highest insurance policies costs in the country, they're trying to do everything to slow everything down. So it looks like they're trying to keep the insurance companies more honest right now, more realistic. So we'll see. I just thought
Meanwhile,
that was interesting.
Last Wednesday night, Chubb stopped binding new policies in Palm Beach County because of the rains.
Huh.
So they're also getting more conservative on when they'll insure, and they don't want to buy rates.
So that's kind of like the hot box where like when the hurricane's in a certain area, you can't.
I said to my
do the
client,
policy.
Well, I mean, the
Are you
insurance
sure?
companies can kind of do whatever they want.
Right.
They're a private company. They don't
Right.
have to offer you insurance.
Right.
So, same thing with,
they can't
we
deny
had a
it.
couple flood insurance companies with all this rain said, hey, we're not going to quote or,
Until after the
until
storm's
after the
over.
stuff's done.
Oh,
You
that's
know, they-
interesting.
Moratorium, as they
Right.
call it.
Right.
Well, they're all, they all have their bean counters and their risk assessment. And they're like, what? No.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But
We'll
I'd
see how
heard
this
the
shakes out.
moratorium for hurricanes. I'd never heard the moratorium for
For
floods.
just heavy rain.
Yeah, heavy
Yeah.
rain. Exactly. That's interesting to me. Very interesting.
But I think they looked at it and realized they had as many claims on that side as they did for the hurricanes in a couple of instances and said,
We'll wait.
we're going to hold off.
Yeah. Just give us a week.
And these claims are subject to typically a lower deductible.
Right.
So they're on the hook for more
Right.
money for these claims than they are for a hurricane claim.
Oh, that's
so,
a $500 deductible. So you're going to pay
All other barrels.
hundreds of thousands of dollars as opposed to get
Yeah.
the first 100,000.
yeah.
That's pretty savvy, huh?
Smart by them for
Well,
sure.
as a business
They're
perspective.
not in
Yeah.
the business to lose money.
No, they are not. No, they are for profit, very much so. 877-927-6969, toll free if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. If you have a question, comment, concern, don't be shy. Still got about 40 minutes for you on this Saturday, Father's Day weekend Saturday. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Get the whole team. Pros. They're experts in their field, and you get them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Remember, we're on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thanks for being with us if you're live streaming on both platforms today. Great to have you with us every Saturday. What are we doing next, Jimmy? Do you want to do a reset? What do you want?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a quick reset. On the flip side, we're going to talk about property values again. Remember last week, the Broward County property values came out with a pretty big increase. We're going to talk about Palm Beach County property values set by the property appraiser. We're going to talk about that on the flip side. And we're also going to talk about where the heck is everybody moving? And remember how Florida was like the #1 state to move to?
Was.
Maybe not.
Oh.
Maybe not anymore.
Maybe not, huh?
We're going to talk about it.
Well, it is hurricane season. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah. I hear it's hot out too and rainy.
There's bugs.
Really?
There's no reason to
hot?
be here.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody go away.
terrible.
Go
Yeah.
away.
We
go
live
away.
here.
Oh,
If you're,
yeah.
if you're not in state, trust us. It
Juno,
sucks.
Jupiter's terrible.
That's right.
Stay in New York.
Nothing worse than just going to the
Exactly.
beach, enjoying your life.
In the rain. In the rain.
It's
It rains at
terrible.
the beach all the time.
I hate it so much.
Mhm.
And these
And that water's so
Oh.
salty.
Oh,
Oh,
so
man,
sandy
it
too.
gets all
Ugh,
over
it's
your
all
skin.
sandy.
and all these
Yeah.
new critters that are coming in and
I
eating
know.
everything. and
Sharks everywhere. You
Yeah,
can't
there's
oh,
go in
sharks
the
out
water.
forget about
too.
the
Nah,
sharks.
they'll just
sharks.
eat you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forget about it.
Don't
Yeah.
come to Florida, whatever you
don't
do.
go,
Jellyfish?
don't go. Yeah.
Jellyfish? Yeah.
Jellyfish. Jellyfish.
I remember that.
I want to hear some jellyfish before we go to break, Jimmy.
All right, let's see if we
Please
got
tell me. You better still have that. Man, this is old school.
Yeah, this is
Love
so old
docs
school.
right
As
here.
soon as you said that, it's like,
Old
oh, I
school.
love it.
Yeah, and I don't know if Real Radio really cares to go down the. Come on. Jellyfish.
Jellyfish. Take some jelly, take some fish. Look at that sandwich, delish. Jellyfish. Jellyfish.
All these years later, still cranking it out.
It's still
too.
there.
Man, how about that? This station was a juggernaut. We're back in 4 minutes. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on the one and only Real Radio.
Of compound words, speak slower, bro, where you won't be hurt. If you talk quick, you might sound slick, but I also might think you just asked me to make you a real jellyfish sandwich. And you'll die!
the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Here's what's happening with the weather on Real Radio.
From the Gordon Partners Weather Center. Have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Call. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the day. We are going to see some scattered showers build in the afternoon. It'll be in the later afternoon, pushing into dinner time. Before we get there, we'll get afternoon highs right around our averages in the mid and upper 80s. Moisture departs tomorrow, and we're going to see that humidity come down.
This report is sponsored by CastleImpactWindows.com. This hurricane season is predicted to be extreme. Your house is your castle. Don't wait for the monster storms. Call Castle Impact today for a free estimate and fortify your castle. 561-683-4811. High quality, made in-house. Protect your investment. Castle Impact Windows, your operations storm watch headquarters.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Komarinetz, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 877-927-6969. Great to have you with us every Saturday. Happy Father's Day weekend. All the fathers out there, and I'm not going to forget all you other mother fathers out there. Thank you for being with us. Johnny C., that's me. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What's up, dude?
Hello, and good morning, buddies. Speaking of which, how's Haley doing these days?
Dude, she's a rock star.
Good.
She's unbelievable. She might be the coolest 11-year-old to ever exist, but I am a little biased.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't taking that into consideration.
We're
Good.
getting geared up for Melanie Martinez show.
Okay.
Next Wednesday. She's so stoked for it. And then we're getting her in the pit for Limp Bizkit. She's in the pit for Limp Bizkit.
So funny.
We went and saw the prequel for The Strangers in theaters. So, like, my little girl loves horror movies, metal, right? She there's these really age inappropriate shows that she watches, and I mean really inappropriate, but she's just the coolest 11-year-old. She's like a little 17-year-old.
She like space, ISS, the space stuff.
Yeah, that intrigues her a lot.
They got that show over at the Krakser Center, the Infinite, and
Well,
it looks
I'm
really
taking my
good.
office there June 29th.
Yeah, you
Really?
put
Yeah,
on
we're
like
gonna
a
go
pair of
do that.
goggles, VR. It's like a VR show.
Yeah,
that they do there, and I've heard all about it. We're gonna go do it. Me,
That's
and,
cool.
the wife and some friends are gonna
Nice.
go.
I haven't heard about
Yeah,
that.
so the
yet.
29th, I can't do the show. I'll be at the craft.
What's it called? What's it called though? What's it called?
The Infinite.
The Infinite?
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
You know, they got
you're kind of like, you got the VR set and you can see hands, right? In it, like a game, type thing. And you're interacting with the space station and, that type of thing.
You know, they got a little laserium at the Science Museum by the Palm Beach Zoo.
A laserium?
Yeah, they do.
What is a laserium?
Where you
I
go and
figured
watch
that's
like
somebody with lasers, but
like the Dark Side of the Moon things.
Oh,
the
okay.
laser shows. and
Right.
stuff.
That sounds like fun.
One of our fans of the show, their son is the moderator for that or something.
That's
and
cool.
I can't remember who the family was, but I was like, that is so cool that you
is
do
cool.
that. It is cool,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And they do all kinds of shows. So if you like that kind of immersive experience,
Okay.
check out the little laserium too at the Science Museum
I'll write that down.
by the Palm Beach Zoo.
Excellent. That sounds like fun.
It's good stuff. That's between what's that? That's at Dreher Park there. So that's between Summit and
yeah, it used to be
Summit.
called Dreher Park Zoo.
And then they call
Way
oh
back
they
in the
did
day.
Dreher Park Zoo to the Palm Beach Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. They
It was
changed
the Dreher
it.
Park Zoo. Yeah.
And Dreher Park's on both sides too. It's on the Summit
Yep.
side and that's
Yep.
that's a cool ass park. But often underutilized. Too.
It is actually underutilized. When every time I go there, it's like, why don't I come here more?
All kinds of ducks,
Yeah.
iguanas everywhere. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
While
your
we're
question?
plugging places like that, have you been over to the new Bush Wildlife Sanctuary
It's been a minute.
out on the
farms?
west side of Indiantown Road?
West
It's on
side.
17855 Rocky Pines Road in Jupiter. We went over there a couple Sundays ago. Amy gave us a nice little tour of the new facilities over
Sweet.
there. It is beautiful, and they still got their little stewed duck,
Oh,
the
so
whistling duck. He's still there.
I'm glad to hear they're
Oh,
doing
that's
well,
cool.
and it's
Yeah.
nice to hear they got a lot of money dumped in there. That's
Yeah, that
fantastic.
sounds great. That's
Gorgeous.
good news. They've been around
Gorgeous
for
over
so long.
I think I'm gonna hit a Loggerhead here real soon. I've been jonesing to go check that place out. It's been probably 10 years.
What's
easy.
that?
In Juno, the Loggerhead Museum?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
they rehab all kinds of stuff. And when's the last time you were there, Ross? It's
I
been
don't
at
know,
least a
probably
decade for me.
I mean, 6 months. It's across the street from my office.
Oh, so you just pop in.
Oh,
It's probably, no, I mean, it's
cool.
probably, I mean, actually
Okay.
going into the actual museum,
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, 6-8 months, but I go to their like parking
see them
beach.
all the time.
This is like park at their beach parking all the time
Beautiful. Yeah,
in
we
the
got,
mornings.
we got all kinds of cool stuff around us.
Sure do.
We really do. Well, that's the part I should tell you. Florida sucks. Don't move here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're just-
Florida
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, that
Komarinetz-
loggerhead's
Ross
terrible.
Komarinetz,
I don't know why
right?
that's why you didn't go for 10 years.
Yeah.
'cause
Why
it's
would
so
you go
bad.
to Juno Beach unless you're going to
All
Brightway
these
Insurance?
places
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, totally. Jimmy D's with us too. Of course, with the Florida Home
Jimmy
Post team.
D. Hey,
Tell waves in.
just want to do a couple shout outs for everybody that's coming in today. We got Elaine. Thank you so much. She's a longtime listener and big fan of the show. My mom, Dorothy, Susan, glad to see that you're here again. Always love having you stop by. PF, thanks for stopping by. Carl from Ireland. I
Nice.
asked him if he has an Irish brogue yet. He hasn't responded.
Give you a broke kick.
Carl's one of our customers, just moved to Ireland. And Joyce, Happy Saturday. She always calls in. That's so awesome. And who else? And Kasha. Thanks for being a new listener, I think. And finally, also Magali, who comes in once in a while. She's in France right now. So we have somebody in France listening to us right now as we speak. So thank you so much. And everybody listening on Facebook, watching on Facebook or YouTube, can you go ahead and go on the other platform and like and subscribe it? So if you're on Facebook, go on to YouTube, like and subscribe to the page, vice versa. It really help us out with the algorithm. Dealing with all that stuff because I don't like dealing with it. So
Yeah,
if you
and
can like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate
And I'll
it.
tell you too, the subscribe, don't be like, oh man, I don't want to do that. No, please do that. And you can turn off notifications.
Yeah, you don't have to hit the bell if you don't want to.
Don't hit the bell if you
hit
don't
the
want
bell
to.
if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you want to, it's good. I
Be
know
great.
there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast as a recording later.
It'll,
like they're
it'll tell
working
you.
or
It'll
they're
tell you when
driving
videos
around.
pop up when we go
Yeah.
live, give you all that stuff, but you can
Yep,
turn it
there you
off.
go.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can.
It does have to be crazy.
Right.
So one of the guys said, I don't do Facebook. PF says, I don't do Facebook. I don't blame you. Use the platform that you like the best, but thank you for thinking about it. Wanted to switch over to, let's see, what are we going to talk about first? We're going to talk about where people are, we're going to talk about Palm Beach County property values went up. And last week we talked about Broward County property values, and they're set. They're going to be ratified in August by the county commission, and then that determines everybody's taxable value.
They went up
on their land.
14%, right?
8.77 was Broward County. Now last year, the year before last, 8.77 for this year. Last year was 11.22.
Wonder what I'm misremembering.
So
But
Palm
such
Beach County,
amazing numbers.
pretty strong numbers. Now Palm Beach County is actually a little higher than Broward, where they went to 9.2% this year. It's the first year in a couple of years that they haven't been double digits value increase. But I think we're seeing a trend here that everybody knows about.
I'm a
that
homeowner.
Values are going up.
I'm a homeowner. Obviously, it's all good for all of us, but double digit appreciation year over year is stupid and definitely not. We just can't keep that pace up.
No, and it doesn't make sense. And what everybody has to remember is when we went through this back in 05, 06, where we got to that peak back then during the mortgage crisis, because everybody was writing dirty loans. Okay. When that happened, the price values increased so fast, so quickly that it took like another 6 years or 7 years after the peak to get back up to where we should have been if there were no craziness and shenanigans going on during that super hot period. We might be going through that right now, where the values of the properties eventually should be where they are right now, but they just got there too fast, and that we might have this correction. I think condos, we're going to see that for sure, as we just talked about in the last segment with Paul, right? Paul Krasker from Krasker Law. I think that condos are going to be going through a big bubble stuff. And then the brand new construction condos, those are going to be the safe bets for people as long as they can afford it, because they're not going to have future costs coming up.
Right.
So I just found it interesting that Palm Beach County is going up. Now, here are some other facts about it. They're saying that here's a couple other trends I thought was interesting in here. They're saying for the first time that collectively all the land, the taxable land in Palm Beach County has hit 500 billion. We've never hit 500 billion. And we're the second, I'm sorry, hold on here. We're the second
taxable land.
Let's see. It's tax. Okay. The county's market value, the second highest in Florida, Palm Beach County, is the second highest market value in Florida, which exceeds 500 billion for the first time.
Who are we behind?
It didn't say. It didn't say what number one was.
It's got to be Duval, right?
You're thinking Duval? I really don't know.
What
It
county is
can't be
Orlando in?
It could be Miami.
Orange?
It could be Miami-Dade.
Yeah,
I think
It
that's
could
Orange
be.
County.
I guess it could be Dade.
It could be Dade.
'Cause,
I don't
man,
know. It
that whole
doesn't,
Brickell
doesn't
area
say.
alone,
I would have liked to have known. It didn't say in here. Thought that was interesting. So we're hitting a peak on max value. The other thing that was interesting is the property appraiser is mentioning that that there's a lot of apartment complexes being built right now, and that they're expecting that eventually that's going to slow down rental rates because there's so many new construction apartment complex being built
in Palm Beach County.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're seeing an increase in there
Where are
because
they
they got to
going?
pull the permits so the county, the
Where are
tax
they?
collector, property appraiser knows. They mentioned, let's see, it didn't
Granted,
mention that.
There's a lot of Palm Beach County I don't drive around in, so I mean, I get
Yeah.
it.
So,
There's a lot of
A
Palm Beach County.
lot
I
of Palm
don't.
Beach County
If
that
it's
I
south
don't
of North Lake, I don't drive around it.
Yeah,
You
well, I
know,
mean, it could be
even-
like Belglade. I mean,
Yeah.
I have no idea where they're talking about.
Now, the other thing is that Dorothy Jacks, who's been on our show before, the property
Sure.
appraiser, she's awesome.
She
We
is
have to have
awesome.
her back on again.
Yeah.
She says that she's also expecting older condominium projects to start losing value in the county, which is exactly, I mean, that isn't surprise or anything, but she's just basically confirming what everybody else is saying.
Yeah, I'm guessing these apartments, just like everything else, everything's going west. Everything's going west, right? There's only so much land, so I'm guessing they must be more west than what I normally travel.
Do you know what they're building up on 95, getting close to like Indiantown, just before Indiantown, heading north? It's on the east side of 95.
I mean, that was all Alton, and they built that big carrier facility there.
Right.
I mean, they're building it now as we speak. I mean, you can see
And they're going fast.
The
They did it pretty fast.
Are being they prepped the land pretty fast, and they're putting up I-beams now for a building. I was just curious what it was going to be, if those are going to be apartments.
They've been
east side,
developing all that.
It's on the east side.
Yeah.
Of
On the east side,
95,
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that Alton, and then there's new developments between like Hood Road and going north.
I thought that's what that was.
That's
too.
housing. That'll be some sort of apartment, condo, housing.
I mean,
or
I mean,
commercial.
Alton is that big. It's a big, housing community,
Okay,
and
okay.
I don't know if they're building any more commercial. Like I said, they built that big carrier AC facility there, right there on Indian Town.
Oh yeah. So just
yeah, I don't know if they're building any more commercial back there. But Alton's there.
With the statistics on the with the statistics going on with the county taxable value, the city, there's 39 municipal cities, and the highest taxable value is in Boca Raton at 37.3 million, not Palm Beach. Palm Beach is number 2 at 31.6 billion. I just found that interesting too. The Palm Beach Island doesn't have more taxable value than Boca, but I guess Boca is
Look how
gigantic.
big Boca is, yeah.
Boca is
Boca,
gigantic compared to
mileage.
Palm Beach.
Yeah.
A couple other things.
Acreage.
Here are the municipalities exceeding 10 billion in taxable value. West Palm Beach, 23.2, Palm Beach Gardens, 19.8. Both of those had about a 10% increase year over year. The highest increase out of the 39 cities year over year, Westlake, 41%.
It doesn't surprise me.
But that doesn't surprise me either, because frankly, a lot of new construction, there were things that didn't exist there a
That's
year
right.
ago that are built now. So I
They're
think
now
that's why
accounted
it's going
for.
right.
That's
It's
right.
going up.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. And so here's the other thing you need to know about all this. There is not one city in Palm Beach County or Broward County now that had a negative valuation. And that's really important to know. So this idea that it's not a good time to buy. Well, if you own the house like Johnny does, right? You're going to see the value of your home increase by doing nothing other than making your mortgage payment every month.
That's
At least
it.
for right now. That isn't forever, but
Yeah.
right now, that's
Yeah,
what's happening.
exactly.
Go ahead. Let's take the call.
What was happening there? Our phone lines are blowing up. Were they
Oh, I'm
correcting
I think
us?
they
Were
were trying to tell us that that's going to be a medical center that they're building up there on the east side of 95.
Is that what it is?
That's what one caller said. His name was Rich. He said that they're building a medical center, and then line 3 started ringing too, so they might have wanted to say the same thing.
Oh, that's okay. But thank you for calling in and
Mhm.
let us know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
We
much
always love
appreciated.
your calls.
Who is on hold there?
We had Mike calling in from
great.
Mike and Diane, I do believe.
Yep.
You're helping sell their house, and now he's on the air with us. Hey, Mike, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Doing good.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. So this show's very interesting today. A lot of good stuff there.
Thank you. Thank you.
But my question is, maybe I'll give you, so everybody understands my story, because I think a lot of people are in the situation or will be in the situation that I find myself in. And, you know, having listened to the show for at least 10 years, you know, I always found it interesting, but I never really thought that I would need the team you put together as much as I think I actually need it now, you know. But my question is about attorneys. And I guess the big question everybody wants to know is, when do you know if you need an attorney to sell real estate? Although maybe the answer is always. But my specific question is, you know, we were taking care of mom and dad. Dad passes away at 18. And everybody said, you need a lawyer. I went to a lawyer and he said, well, we'll write up a paper that says upon your mom's death, you know, will automatically assume the home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all written up with the lawyer. But now things have changed because we had to put her in assisted living. No longer could we take care of her. It just got to be too much.
Mm-hmm.
So we take her out of the house, we put her in assisted living. And now you're faced with what to do. Let the house sit, sell it. So, you know, one thing I'll say is you were great. Jim spent so much time with us, explaining everything. It was very helpful.
Awesome.
And I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyhow, I find this paper a trust. We're going to sell the house, but do I need a lawyer before we even attempt it? I don't even know. And can the house be sold with the money in the trust to avoid taxes? There's tax issues. And I don't want to saddle my mom with a huge income because she's on Social Security. And there's huge implications when you have a big income during 1 year and then you're on Social Security. There's tax implications. So, so those are my questions.
Yeah. So, Mike, I'm so glad that you called, and you're right. There are so many people that are involved, you know, that experience what you're going through right now, and there's so much involved in that. And emotions are very high usually because you're concerned about your loved one. You got to find a safe facility to put them in,
First
something
and
that you can
foremost.
trust.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
and that's a whole issue by itself, like a whole thing by itself.
Yep.
And then you have to start unraveling all the other things that are connected to that move, which part of it will be real estate, but there's tax issues, there's bank accounts to deal with, all kinds of things. And I did let Paul Krasker know. I was hoping that you were going to call earlier, Mike, to be honest with you, because Paul had to leave at 10:30. But
okay.
so he's not on the air right now, but he knows.
There's good news though, Jim. If there's good news, it's not a lot of gray area. It's all black and white. It's all a numbers game. It really is very specific because you can sell up to a certain amount, right? Without tax implications for mom, right? When it comes to leaving the home, you do deal with capital gains in certain ways unless you put it in a trust. But there's not a lot of gray area. It's real black and white. You need to do this or this or this or this.
Well,
this time
I
or that
actually
time.
think there might be gray area in this because it isn't just capital gains. From what I understand, and I'm not an expert in this, okay, but when you place somebody into a living facility, if they're getting certain economic breaks based on that, you can't have a certain amount of assets. And I've heard of a
But
lot of
again,
people.
so I don't think that's gray. I think it's black and white. You can't have up to this point.
Well, it's how you structure everything at the beginning, and that's why I think a lot of people would need the attorney advice on how to handle that for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Mike's going to get really great information from Paul, but he also needs help from
Jarrett.
Jarrett from Perry CPA Group. By the way, Jarrett, I talked to Jarrett about you, Mike, yesterday. So he said that he wanted to set up a meeting with you on Monday if you haven't already set it up with him. He's talking about meeting with him on Monday.
Super valuable conversation.
Okay. So reach out to him on Monday for the phone call. Okay. But Jarrett's going to also talk about tax implications of everything so that he kind of knows that the family knows everything that's going on. A lot of big decisions to make. When you don't
Yeah.
know what you don't know, that's usually the biggest problems. And the other thing I see with probate, estates, trusts, changing of deeds, like when families want to change deeds to one person or another, um, what you don't know is really can screw you up pretty bad.
Sure can.
Because once you do it, sometimes you can't
Undo it.
undo it.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. And
That's
then
right.
it's too late. So it's really important that you do the right thing. That's why we're not pressuring Mike and Diane to do anything too fast. We signed everything. We're ready to go, but we want them to talk
Yeah.
to the right professionals first before we put the house on, even put it on the market.
Well, I can't even think of a scenario where you put pressure on a customer for sure.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Do you?
Oh yeah, not me. I'm saying
No, you.
Oh,
no, I'm
me.
talking about
I
you
thought
being
were
a
talking
pressure.
about
Why would you
realtors
be
in
the pressure
general.
point? It's not your
No, I
your
don't do
nature
that.
to be the pressure
No,
point.
I'm not.
You're there to facilitate the information and help them work through said information for the best decision for them and their family. But you're not going to be the focal
I'm
point of
sorry,
pressure.
I missed it. I
I was
was
like,
thinking
really?
about
When do you pressure people?
realtors in general. There's a
Oh.
lot of
Oh,
there's
sure.
a lot of realtors are out there. If
I don't
they're
care
on an
about. I don't care about the rest of them. I'm talking
Yeah.
about Jimmy D.
Yeah, no. When I go out there, we're trying to learn how to service you and how to get the best service for you and what your best options are. And then you decide on the whole choice. I almost said panoply, but
No, you didn't.
no,
You
I
didn't come
didn't. I
close to
didn't say
saying
that
it.
word at all.
No.
You have a wide variety of
Yeah.
choices. Panoply. That's what I was going to say. A panoply of choices.
I gotta
You have
look
a
that up.
wide. You have a wide variety of choices.
Is that what panoply means?
Panoply means
A
an array of
lot of choices.
An array, yeah,
Huh.
an array of.
You new to that one? I'm new to that.
I
one.
did
Somebody
not.
look it up and find out that if Mike was here, he'd be looking it up right now to see if I'm right or
Panopoly?
not because he likes
I would have
teasing
said
me.
polyopoly.
It's Panopoly, Panopoly.
Monopoly.
Yeah. And maybe I made it up. That would be even funnier if I made it
I
up.
hope so.
Oh, I hope I made it up
If you
too.
did
That
make
would
it
be
up,
so
I'm
funny.
definitely using it.
Oh yeah, then it's gonna become a
Yes,
word.
yes.
Sorry, Mike. I know we're getting off track. So
No, that's fine.
yeah, but what you're dealing with is very emotional, very important,
Very.
Yeah.
big life decisions. And you guys gotta, when I say you guys, I mean collectively, you gotta make sure you know what you know before you make the move. Before you make a decision on
Yeah.
doing anything.
Right. And selling the house seems the obvious answer. You think about, should I rent the house? Should I sell the house? And it all depends on, I guess, how much work you wanted to put into it all. But, the point being, I guess the first step is to consult the lawyer, even maybe before the real estate. I wonder if this too, would the attorney say before you sign the sales contract with the listing agent, I want to see it? Would he say that?
Wait, repeat that last
I know
part,
not
Mike.
your-
If
I
you
know
said
not your case.
right, but what were you saying?
Before you sign the listing agent, would your lawyer
Right,
want
in
to
other
see
words,
it?
if
Oh,
I-
will you lawyer
so
want to
the
see
first-
it? Yeah. So here's the
Now,
thing.
let's say, is lawyer the first step in selling real estate? That's kind of my question. And then you sign a listing agreement with the agent, and should you bring it to your lawyer? Say, here's what I'm about to sign. Let him read it over. I think that's good advice.
It's. I know what happens with Paul when sometimes people ask. I remember we had this one guy, and I was working the deal with him when we were closing the deal, but for whatever reason, he really felt he needed an attorney, and he knows about Paul because he listened to the show for so long. So he went to Paul.
Awesome.
And wanted to hire Paul, which I had no problem with.
Sure.
Because that makes you feel comfortable. But Paul told the guy like 3 times, you're working with Jim. He uses standard contracts that are, approved by the state,
Yeah.
State and everything. There's nothing to worry about. But the fact that they went to the attorney to get that information, I think is important. So anytime anybody is doing real estate and they think they need an attorney, my advice is get a good attorney that understands real estate law.
Competent. Yep.
Yeah, have to be competent in real estate because, you're not going to be calling somebody who does personal injury law to find out about real estate. And you're not going to call a real estate lawyer if you get in a car crash.
Well, just because your uncle, your brother's uncle is
an
an attorney
attorney.
doesn't mean he's going to be able to handle what needs to be done in this particular realm.
And you'd be so surprised at how many times probate or estate or trust, when they're written, they don't hold the muster for the title company. And they're attorneys, right? but because they don't totally look at things like a real estate attorney does, you really have to have that second set of eyeballs. So
Well, Trident Title has attorneys on staff, I've heard.
absolutely, yeah, of course. And so it's really important to have that group of people. What's really great about with Mike is that he can call up Paula Krasker and get that free consultation, right? Because he's a listener to the show, and Paul does it for free for anybody that calls in from the show, gives him one free consultation.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
And it's a good one. I mean, you're not sitting down for 15 minutes and he's kicking you out the door. I've seen him sit there for an hour, hour and a half sometimes if it's complicated, trying to figure out the best way to handle things.
Well, that's why he's on the team. He's cut from the same cloth. It's caring for people first and foremost, doing the right thing by people.
And we're going to learn a lot with Mike's situation, Mike, because we're going to have you talk to Jared. We're going to have you talk to Paul. So we're going to learn a lot of stuff together as we go through this process together.
Probably going to be an overwhelming amount of information, but you'll sort through it. It'll be very valuable.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you one thing, Mike, before we move on? Because I found the definition of monopoly. So I was just wondering, you've been listening to the show for a long time, but I know that you know people. So what made you decide to pick up the phone and give us a call? And have we been real with you? Like what you listen or hear on the air, is it pretty much the same way when we meet you in person?
Well, that's a great question. So, when I called in and then you called me back pretty quickly, I was amazed. And our first conversation was really great. It was like having the show customized right to me, and it was fantastic. So that was great. And then more than that, when you came over to talk to us, man, you spent, I don't know, you were there all afternoon. And we went over everything from the theory of selling real estate to the new changes. And it's a lot. And I remember, by the way, it seemed to me back in the day when you sold real estate, it was pretty much buyer beware. You sold it as is. And then now you bring to my attention that, well, you better be listing everything out the way it is, or you're looking at, maybe that's not the end of the sale.
Right.
Back at you later.
Right. Mike was explaining how I explained that the most important document signed probably isn't the listing agreement or the contract that you're using to sell the house, but the seller disclosure, making sure that you disclose everything that might have went wrong with the property in the past and what you fixed so that you're not going to be sued. Because the number one reason for residential lawsuit is not disclosing things.
Oh.
So it's really important. And the funny part is Mike is a big fan of the show. He was parroting stuff I've said 10 years ago and knew it knew it verbatim and was telling his sister who's involved in the transaction, oh, Jim taught me this, Jim taught me that, or
Awesome.
I heard this on the show, and it was exactly what I said. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Good student.
But let me
don't forget that stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Mike, I'm going to give you a call on Monday. Thank you so much for calling the show. We're going to make sure you get over to Krasker and Jarrett. I'm going to call you Monday morning so we get you to Jarrett on Monday. Okay.
Okay. And listen, I have another question for you that has nothing to do with me, but a friend of mine.
We got 30 seconds.
Okay. On the condo situation.
Mm-hmm.
So he just lost his sale. They were going to put 20% down, but the deal wouldn't go through because they only had 7% in reserve. So it killed the deal. So is it only way to sell that property? It's like a cash
only, or there are off-market loans knocked back by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae, but they're expensive and you can use that too. But it's cash or these off-market type of loans, these products. That's all you have.
Give a mortgage on it.
Yep.
So they don't even want to give a mortgage on a condo at all.
It's tougher. It's tougher. You can get them. I put people under contract with condos with financing, but it's tough now. You're right.
Yeah, the association's got to have some good numbers for sure. Brother, thank you for being with us. Thanks for listening all these years. Thanks for putting your trust in the team. Happy Father's Day weekend to you, and take care of the dads in your life. And the team will be in touch with you on Monday.
Thank you so much, guys.
Great. Thanks for being there.
Appreciate you very much. And appreciate you all being with us. We've been lucky to do this show for a long time now, but it's all about the audience. taking care of the audience, having you out there listening and responding, sharing the information. You never know who's in need. Oftentimes people don't talk about the really tough parts of their life. Social media on down. You only see what shines bright like a diamond. Behind that is the reality of the struggle that we all go through many, many different ways. If somebody's looking to buy a home, selling a home, they're stuck with a home, they don't know what to do. Maybe you can change their life by putting them on a team of pros at floridatalkrealestate.com. Simple things like looking to help with student loan debt, possibly shop some property insurance, all the way down to the complicated process of fighting through litigation and fighting with family over the loss of a life over property. I mean, everything in between. Yeah, we got you covered at floridatalkrealestate.com. Remember, know it, use it, love it, share it. floridatalkrealestate.com. For Ross Komarinetz with Brightway Insurance, Juno Beach, have a great Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, and always good to see you, my brother.
Thank you. You too. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and all the single moms that act like fathers.
Yeah, single moms, we love you.
Yes.
So much. Jimothy, stick around. You're going to be doing the locker room. I see Greek ready over here.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm going to talk a little bit of sports, and there's a game on tonight. I don't know. There's a big trophy involved with it, so I think you might even be able to hear that game right
The
here. on
badminton
Real
finals
Video.
tonight?
The badminton finals.
That's it.
Yes. Strangely,
That's it.
I am
Yeah.
rooting against the Panthers because I want them to hoist that trophy at home.
Yeah, yeah.
I want it for their fan base so bad.
That was
I
that was a conversation we had during the week. What do you want them to win?
want
and
them to
bring
win
it
at
here?
home.
Yeah,
Yep, I do.
They're probably. I didn't look it for sure, but they did for Game 3 a watch party down here at Amarin.
It's
Bank
not the
Arena.
same. It's not the same.
At least there's that. You can go. Well, you can go see it if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have the game. So
Yeah, you watch it,
Mhm.
but or be there watching them hoist that trophy.
remember the intern that we had for 800 years, Alex.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He's a big Panthers fan. Takes his daughter down there all the time. I see him post on social media.
Great environment.
Sorry about that, Jim. Go ahead.
No, that's
happy Father's Day to
okay.
everybody, and good to see you guys. And we'll see you next week.
Always a pleasure, dude.
Happy
Yeah,
South Florida.
we are home of Florida Panther hockey here at Real
Mhm.
Radio. And Jimmy D, have a great Father's Day weekend. As always, thanks for all that you do, and thanks for your effort continually.
We had an impressive collection of subjects we talked about it today,
Impressive.
or a panoply of subjects.
Monopoly.
I
Thanks
just
for
read
bring-
the definition.
Thanks for
A
bringing it
night
back.
ready for battle.
Yes. we'll give gold stars next Saturday if you can squeeze Monopoly into a phone call and or email or a post on Facebook. Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Locker room's next. Happy Father's Day weekend. Be good to each other. Take care of the dads in your life. We'll see you next Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.